Guys, are we in?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm expecting answers from you guys. I just asked, what do you know about who is a hacker? What is your definition of who is a hacker?
A person who he's a type of person who can access any type of data, like exploiting the data which is
Okay.
defaced, and leaking it to everyone.
Okay, that's a good definition. Any others would want to give it a try? Guys, I want to keep this session interesting, interactive, and I really want you guys to speak up. I've seen in the networking and Linux session too, I just saw, maybe 3 to 4 people speaking up. And this will be much more interesting when you guys also try to interact, right? As I was telling you, I need a TCP connection between you guys and me, so that I know and I get an acknowledgement that whatever I'm telling you guys here is actually reaching you, right? So let's have you guys speak up. I need, maybe 2, 3 more definitions if anybody would want to try out. So I'll repeat the question for you. Who do you think a hacker is? What do you think he does?
Sure, a hacker basically is someone who breaks into system using its vulnerabilities, try to access the data or like restricted data.
Okay, that's good. That's a good definition. Anybody else? Okay, then let's move further. So yeah, so let me tell you what the definition of cybersecurity. I mean, what the definition of a hacker is according to me. So I got pretty good definitions from you guys saying that, a person who tries to break into systems, who tries to access data that is in, restricted areas, and, without actually having a proper legit access from, or a proper legit consent from the owner of that information. That's a great definition, and that's generally what and how it is described as when you think of a hacker. But, let me tell you my definition of what is a hacker. So according to me, a hacker is a person or anybody who tries to understand a functioning of a system or a device or nearly anything in better than an average person. Okay. So what do I mean by this? So if I say that, I'm using a phone, an average user tries to use a phone in a top level, okay, an overview level of whatever he knows. But when you dig deep into it about how this and this works, and that is when I say that the person has a bit of a hacker mindset. Okay, so this must be, a bit confusing. So let me link up this definition with what definition you guys have told up, right? So when do you actually find something fishy in something that you use? When do you find something that something vulnerable in the thing or a device that you use? So you find about a vulnerability of a device you use when you actually know the functioning of it, right?
When it's malfunctioning, when the procedure is not functioning as it's
Yes.
supposed to do.
Yes, so that is a kind of misconfiguration. So let's say that, you're actually let me actually give you an example of how this is going. uh, right, so for example, you're running an old Windows machine, and it asks for your credentials. And what does a generic person do? What does a general user do? He tries to enter the credentials, and he tries to put in the stuff, and clicks the login button. For suppose, let's see that let's see it in such a way that it's got some malfunctioning inside it, and the credential field is actually accepting everything. And right when you click in the login button, it's actually taking you to the home screen. So how did you know that this particular field is malfunctioning? This particular field is not up to the standard. because you actually know how it functions. So how does it function? Whenever you enter something, it has to validate it. It has to take it to the backend. It has to check whether the particular credentials are matching. And that is when it has to give you the access. When if it is not functioning the way it is, that is when you are actually able to take advantage of it. And how are you getting to know that? That is when you actually are understanding the functioning of a system, is it? So this is my definition of it. A person who tries to understand the functioning of a system in a deeper level than a general user, that is when I say that you have a hacker mindset, right? Now, let's get to the next point. So why is that nearly anything? What do I mean by nearly anything? So when I say nearly anything, I don't restrict myself to a system or a device or a web application or something like that. Rather, I also include nearly anything, whatever it is. So let's say that I sent you a malicious file or something like that, a file with malware inside, and I'm actually tricking you to open it. Okay, this is also a type of cyber attack. Well, this is generally one of the most common cyber attacks, something called as social engineering, where you actually send fake pages to your friends. For example, there's no need that much technicality needs to be implemented in that. You just create a fake page of Facebook and you send it to your friend, and you trick him into logging in, and you actually get the credentials. Is there much technicality involved here? No. But what is the thing that you're hacking here? Well, you didn't use any commercial tools to actually break into his Facebook account, but you just created a fake page and sent him. So what is the thing that you're hacking here? You're hacking his mind, right? So this is why I said nearly anything. So is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So yeah, if you don't believe the answer what I said, you will eventually further in the course. So this is up to this slide, general introduction about cybersecurity. So do you guys have any doubts up till now?
No, sir, it's cool.
No, sir.
Right, that's great. So let's move further. So, some general myths about hackers and hacking stuff. So whenever you think about a hacker, the first thing you get in mind is a hacker is a criminal, is it? So this is one of the biggest myths, A hacker doesn't have to be a criminal. A hacker, as I told you, is someone who tries to learn stuff and, who tries to know stuff much into deep. If you think that, learning is a criminal kind of thing, every student is actually a criminal. So that is a big myth, which we are going to nearly bust it in the next slide. So let's go on to the next point. If the systems and devices are secure, we are secure. So I think I already explained you about nearly everything in the previous slide, hacking a mind, something about involving the psychology. So it definitely doesn't mean that if your systems are very well updated, if your systems have a crazy antivirus or crazy security system and your systems are up to date, it doesn't mean that you are also secure, okay? Something that is most vulnerable is actually your mindset, right? So let's move on to the next point. A hacker just runs tools to hack systems, generally, you click a button and it hacks into your systems or something like that. That is also another big myth, To actually get into or crack into a system, you actually need to study a lot about it. You actually need to gather a lot of information about it, what services it is running, what are the softwares it is running, what is the OS it is running, what kind of, what kind of buffers it is using and something like that. So you need a lot of information on something to actually get into it. Okay, it is not just running tools and hacking systems, right? So that is one myth. And the next one being, it's a process of minutes. So you never can hack, literally any devices right in minutes. You actually need hours of time. So why do I say that? That actually goes hand in hand with the prior point that I've said. It's not just clicking buttons and running tools to hack system. You need to understand what is inside and what is the loophole and how to exploit it, right? So that being said, let's go to the next point. I update my systems regularly, hence I'm very secure. Well, this point about updating your systems is actually a very good point because, updating is something that is considered a very good practice. But if you get into something like a 0-day exploit, okay, this a 0-day exploit, well, let's come to that later. But then, updating a system, updating your systems, updating yourself is something that is very suggestible and it is good to do. But then it is never stated that, because you update your systems, you're secure. It is not like that. Okay. Let's move to the last point for about the myths. So if you're a hacker, hack my device and show right now. This is a general statement, that your friends or, anybody would put right in your face when you say that, I'm learning hacking or I'm learning something about cybersecurity, right? This is the exact dialogue that they put. तू hacker है क्या? तो मेरा device ले ले. I'm disconnecting it from the internet and hack it right now and show it to me. That is when I'll believe that you are learning hacking. Is it? So, that this is when you actually get the same dialogue about, you just have a thought in mind, kaun hai ye log, kahan se aate hain ye log, right? So it is not something like that. So to hack any device, you actually need some vulnerable service, or, you actually need the client to actually click on something that you send to get access on his device. So this is how a hack generally goes on. So whenever someone just pops up into your face saying that ye mera device hai, hack kar le, you can just show him the finger. You can say, give me some vulnerability in that, and that is when I'll hack you. It's just that is not the process that it goes, right? So these are some myths about what is hacking and stuff. So you guys have any doubts up till now? Can we move further?
Yes, sir.
Right, that's great. So coming to this point, why do we need security, and overall, why do we need this session actually? So we need some understanding on security, and we need this session to get to get a better understanding of how to stay secure yourself. So why is that so? Are we learning something defensive here? So that can be your point, but then let me tell you. So to build up defense strategies to be secure from getting hacked, you need to know how the hack actually happens or how the attack actually happens, right? So this is a similar saying, a similar dialogue that you might have heard in many movies. To catch a criminal, you have to think like a criminal. You need to have a mindset of a criminal. This is why we need a better understanding on how the attacks happen to to develop better defense strategies and to stay secure online. Okay, maybe at a personal level and also at an enterprise level. So we're not dealing with the enterprise level right now. So at a personal level, to stay safe online, when you're online or when you're using devices, we need to understand how the attacks goes. And then the next point, to spread awareness to people on how to be secure. This means that, well, you have an understanding of how to be secure, how to not click malicious links if you have, and check some phishing pages, and be secure before actually getting into that and giving your credentials. This is also something that you need, because you are attending this session, about stuff. But let's see about other people in your circle, who are not attending any session that is saying about security. And there is a great chance that they can actually go ahead and click some malicious links, put some malicious pen drives, and get your systems compromised. So it is on your part that you have to explain other people too that how secure they can be, about the knowledge that you gain in this course in due time, right? And what are the things that you shouldn't do? Well, when you understand about exploits and how to build malicious stuff and write a metapreta session or send, but this is something not suggestible, okay? To actually send those files to your college websites or systems or hack them. This is not suggestible, okay? So this is not what you're learning here, and if at all you do, disclaimer, I am not responsible, right? So you guys understand that? So any doubts up to here? Guys?
Yeah.
No, sir. No doubt.
Yes, clear, sir.
Right, that's great. So So let's get into this. So I was telling about, a hacker is a criminal or something like that in the previous slide, right? So let's understanding better in this slide. So, coming to hats and stuff, I think you've heard of many hats going on there, red hat, blue hat, purple hat or something like that. बहुत ही सारे hats हैं जो बिकते हैं लेकिन let's stay stuck to these three standard stuff when we are dealing about stuff. So let me explain you in brief about what is a black hat, what is a gray hat, and what is a white hat. So black hat is someone who has this intensive knowledge about hacking systems and getting into stuff, but uses it for his own malicious purposes, for his own personal stuff. Okay, which is something to be called as a cracker or a criminal. Okay, that is something or someone who's called as a black hat. Now, what is a white hat? Is something opposite to the black hat. He does the same thing, getting into stuff, breaking it, utilizing the loopholes. But then what does he do? He actually reports stuff to the owner and does this with the owner's consent. He works for making the systems better and building up the defenses better against black hats. Now, what is a gray hat? This fellow is like a cat in a fence, cat on a fence. He tries to be black hat sometimes and white hat sometimes, or something like that. So this is a brief about what is a black hat, what is a gray hat, what is a white hat, right? So moving on further, cybersecurity principles. So, we're going to be dealing with a bit more technical stuff from now on. So let's have a round of questionnaire if you guys have any doubts up till now, or can we move further?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Right. So principles of cybersecurity. So what is this principles of cybersecurity? And what are the three circles that you see? Confidentiality, availability, integrity. What are these? So this in general is also called as a CIA triad. A CIA triad. CIA meaning confidentiality, integrity, availability. So what are these? What is a CIA triad? So this is how your information, as you can see, this is how your information is kept secure, based on these three goals. So to be explaining about these confidentiality, integrity, and availability, so let me give you a brief about this. What is confidentiality? Would anybody want to try to answer these before I actually explain you stuff? Would anybody want to take a guess? What is confidentiality?
Privacy.
Good. And
Not revealing information.
Something that ensures data being accessed by the wrong person.
good. That is a good definition. And yeah, privacy also is literally the one point of it. So confidentiality, keeping your information to yourself, or in a general way, keeping a person's information to himself. So if you're the owner of an information, that should be confidential to you. So something that talks about authenticity. Who is, authentic to use this information actually? So that is something that says about confidentiality. So going on to the next point, integrity. So what do you guys think about integrity? What is integrity?
Integrity is nothing but maintaining the data with us and the system assuring that the data will be with us, like being honest.
Okay, that's a good definition. Any others?
Integrity means like an unauthorized user cannot modify our data.
Perfect. So this was the exact definition I was looking for. Modification. So you have some information. If that information is not being tampered with and modified, that is when you're saying that this is following the principle of integrity. Okay. So tampering is a key word here. Data tampering. Okay. The next point, availability. So what do you guys think about availability?
System being authorized to only one person, the owner.
Okay. Good. Next.
The data which can be accessible is already given to the people.
Okay, good. Next.
Like no one from outside can access.
Right, good. Next. Okay, so that were actually some good definitions, but then exactly availability means that. So if you're the owner, or if you're the user of the information, this is pretty simple to understand. If that information is available to you when you want to use it, that is when the availability is kept up to the standard. So if you didn't understand this, let me actually tell you let me actually tell you about something. So the availability phenomenon can actually be affected by some overloads or something like that. So let's say that this is on your results day and you're trying to access your results, and most of the time that is something that says it cannot be loaded, or it is not available currently. Is it?
DDoS attacks.
Yes. So to be much technical, that is something about a DDoS attack. But at your results time, that is completely genuine, because that was not anybody's intention to perform a DDoS attack. But let's not keep it that technical about a DDoS attack currently or right now. So let's actually talk about the availability part. So when you're trying to access some information and you don't have it available right in front, that is when you can say that the availability is in danger, right? So any doubts up to now? Can we move further?
No doubts.
No, sir.
Right, that's great. So you might have heard these terms about what is a vulnerability, threat, risk, and that is something generally that goes when you have a common opinion on what is a vulnerability, threat, and risk. You generally people who don't know the actual difference between these three, they actually think these three are the same. So let me tell you the difference between the vulnerability, a threat, and a risk, right? So what is a vulnerability? So let's suppose that you have a software and it has some particular misconfigured stuff, or maybe a loophole or an opening that actually gives the opening to someone who tries to get in. Okay, to be much simpler in this particular thing, simply a bug, a loophole, or an opening that is there in the definition. So if your software has a bug, that is a kind of vulnerability. Okay, so well, if you're talking about bugs, there are many different general bugs that can actually happen. But then what do you call specifically a security vulnerability? When a particular bug that is existing is actually giving the access, or is actually opening up the sensitive stuff to a hacker, that is when that is called a vulnerability. That is how it is differentiated from general bugs, right? So what is a threat? A threat is a person or an exploit code. So why did I mention entity over here? Because that is not subjective to only a person. Okay, an entity can be anything about anything ranging from a person to an automated botnet to a software, or an exploit code that actually tries to cause harm, or that actually tries to take over your software or your system using that vulnerability ahead, right? So an entity can include a hacker, or maybe cyber terrorists, or or an actual exploit code. That is why I've mentioned generally or generically about it as an entity. Okay, so that is what is a threat. So coming up to what is a risk. So risk is the damage that you can have, a possible damage that you can have when the threat entity is actually trying to cause cause harm to your system using the vulnerabilities. Okay, so this is the basic difference between what is a vulnerability, what is a threat, and what is a risk. So vulnerability is a bug. Threat is someone who tries to take over your system. Risk is the damage. Okay. So moving on further. So before going into this, so any doubts about the vulnerabilities and stuff?
No, sir.
So we'll be dealing about them, in much deeper terms in the coming sessions. Okay. Right. So let's see some, commonly known or commonly seen attacks. Okay. So yeah, you can see these commonly seen or commonly occurring attacks. Yeah, there are many other attacks apart from this, but then I've just included a few. Okay, so uh, since you guys are here for a cybersecurity session, I think you guys might have also done some homework about it, and you might have come across these attacks on the internet as well. So let me ask you guys again. I wanted to be interactive as I told you before. So let's get up you guys answering these. So I've heard a person saying about a DDoS attack. So can you tell me about what is a DDoS, what is a DOS, and what is the difference between them?
It's like hacker sending a high amount of data through network, making a lot of connection requests. Ultimately, the network gets overloaded and it doesn't function.
Yes, that is something like an exact definition. So when you overload a server or whatever it is, whatever service providing stuff, so whenever you overload it so that it doesn't accept the request from a genuine user, that is when you call it as a denial of service or DOS attack. Okay, so what is the difference between a DOS and a DDoS attack?
So DOS is generally a one system having many requests, whereas DDoS is distributed DOS in which many other botnets are involved in making that attack.
Right, that is true. So if you take about a general denial of service, you can take it as a single system or a single IP address overloading the server. Whereas if you take it about a DDoS attack, distributed denial of service, it means that the overload requests that are coming are actually distributed amongst multiple IPs, right? So that is something about DOS and DDoS. So further, next, malware-based attacks. So anybody wants to take a dig at this?
Sir, I'm going to tell. Sir, malware-based attack is nothing but like, for example, you told about an entity. Like, if we take an entity like cyber criminals, they create malicious softwares that are installed on someone else's system or their device unknowingly, and they get access to all their personal credentials.
Right. That's a very good definition, and that's right. That's right. Anybody else who want to answer this too?
Never skip your morning breakfast.
Guys?
So,
Okay.
a code
So
that-
yeah. You were saying something, sorry?
a code that steals the data. That's it.
Good. Yeah, so both of your definitions are actually right. So malware. So malware can be a different type of different types of codes. Different type of codes or malicious softwares. So malware actually stands for malicious software. Okay, that's like kind of short form to malicious software. So whenever a person writes an opening and codes it up and sends it to the client's system and makes him click and install that is something called as a malware based attack. Okay, you might have heard of Trojans, worms, and something like that. So they come under a common umbrella called malware. They can have worms, they can have viruses, or spywares, or adwares, or something like that. So they all come under malware based attacks. Okay, moving on further, social engineering. Anybody wants to answer this?
Sir,
Social engineering.
sir.
Yeah.
I think social engineering type of attack is something that they create some socialistic applications and tell some other persons to install it. And like people think that it's a social application sort of thing, socializing and all. With the help of that, the application, they hack their systems or they get whatever they need, like financial gains or something else.
Right. That's actually very close, but social engineering doesn't actually mean not just the social stuff. So social engineering is also a kind of broad umbrella that deals with deception. Okay, this is a single point word about social engineering: deceiving or tricking your client or tricking the victim into clicking malicious links, or entering their credentials in fake pages called as phishes, and the other different types of things where you actually uh, mask out the true identity of a thing, and put up fake stuff and make your and trick your victim to clicking those to actually give you some access. Okay, so let me give you some examples of this. I think you might have received many spam mails about winning a lottery, or spin a wheel, or Amazon dhamaka sale, or if you register here, we'll make whatever you're depositing double or triple, and we'll give it to you in so and so period of time, something like this. So these all attacks come under social engineering. Okay, the single word to this is deception, right? So moving on to the next, man in the middle based attacks. So anybody want to answer this?
Sir,
Victim and the hacker will be connecting to the same network, and he can get his IP address and steal IP and MAC address and steal his data.
Good. So can you explain it in a much simpler way, without using any technical stuff?
sir, can I?
Like a third-party application where client and the network will be connected to it, and data transfer is done.
Okay, that's good. So
Where the hacker pretends
Yeah,
to
there-
be as a server, and the client connects to the hacker, knowing that it's the server, and the hacker sends the data to the original server, like stealing him.
right, I understand your point. Yeah, I get your point. So that is something very, very technical. Let's get to that in the further upcoming sessions. Okay. So those were awesome definitions by you guys, but let's try to keep this a bit non-technical for now. So man in the middle, it is as simple as what the man in the middle MITM says. So when two parties are actually talking to each other, and you tap in between and try to hear both the conversations, thus getting those information of communication without their access, without their consent, that is when you say that there is a man in the middle attack. Okay, both the parties don't know that somebody else is actually listening to that, but the third party, or the hacker, as you told, is actually listening to the convo, getting some vital information out of it. Okay, this is something similar to wiretapping or phone tapping that you would have heard of in the ancient days when we had those phones, and people would actually tap into phones and listen to your conversations. So this is something like that, but done on a network. Okay, this in detail, yeah, let's explain that further in the next stuff. And brute force password cracks.
Sir, brute force password cracks is nothing but the hacker or a person will give all the possible passwords, and he'll wait which is the correct password.
Good. That is the exact definition. So entering everything that just to get the access directly. That is something called as a brute force password crack. A brute force password crack is is actually considered to be giving 100% accurate results. Would you believe that?
Yeah, but over a long period of time.
Exactly. So you can get the password because you're actually entering everything, every possible combination, and one particular combination would have actually met the password, but then till that system opens and cracks up for you, you would have actually been dead. So that depends on the complexity of the password again. Okay. So that being said, injections. So who can answer this? Injections.
Injection is a big type of attack where the attacker gives you an untrusted source of an input. Through that, your system malware has a malfunctioning.
Okay.
And these type of attacks only runs through the interpreters, I think, and through
Okay.
queries.
Right. So I actually like these technical definitions that you guys have been saying. So, and yes, they're actually right. They're actually very up to the mark. But for this session, let's try to keep it a bit general and stuff. So I'll give you an example. You have a field in front of you, and the field doesn't have a proper validation. So let's take two cases over here, person A and person B. Okay, a person A is a very genuine person, and person B is actually a kind of a cracker or a criminal. So when you have a field and it is asking you for username and password, for suppose the general fieldy stuff that asks you for username and password. So what person A would do is enter his credentials, login. What person B would do is put up something that would confuse the thing running in background that is actually validating this, to actually put out or pull out the information about others, or other stuff which this particular user doesn't have access to onto the front end. So what is happening over here? So simply you have a field. I'm entering something like this. Okay, I'm entering a bit of my password. Then I'm confusing the thing, the validating thing. Okay, interpreter, as you were telling. So I'm confusing the thing to actually give out the credentials of everybody else on the background. Okay, so that is something about a query or something, to be technical, but to be general, let's put it as something. Okay, just a string, right? That would do. So let's discuss about the technicalities further, but this session, let's just keep it to the introduction, right? So you guys have any doubts in the common DC attack section?
Sir, once can you explain social engineering?
Okay, that's great. So social engineering in a single point is deceiving. Okay, deception. This is where you actually trick your victim to click on a malicious link or something, a page or a spam email or a link or something that would actually give some access to his system or his device to you as a hacker. Okay, if that sounds a bit more complicated, let's take this common example. Okay, so if you have been seeing your text messages, you might have seen many messages that would have said your number has won $2 billion in a lucky draw. Click on this particular link to take a small survey and let us give you the money, and let us give you the details of that. Okay, so this can be termed as a part of social engineering. What is happening in the background is, let's suppose a person is unaware that this is fraud, and he clicks on that, and in the survey it asks about your GPay information, or your bank information, about your account number, CVV, and you're unaware that you shouldn't provide your CVV or something like that, and you go ahead and actually enter that, and the person actually enters it and submits it. So the hacker actually has your card details or your account details, and what is the immediate step he does? He actually he actually puts it up in the transaction, and he calls you up. He'll just say that this is a confirmation call for us to be transferring this amount of money to your account. You will be receiving some code, a four-digit code. You have to tell me that, so that I'll be able to transfer that. But in reality, the person is actually transferring the amount in your account to his account, not rather providing you with some money, right? Is it? So this is something about social engineering. Some common other types of social engineering is, this is something again very general that people generally see. Big billion day sales. Okay, you have different WhatsApp chat messages forwarded to you that say about iPhone is available for ₹2. Go ahead and click this, and you click this, and you see a beautiful spin the wheel competition. You roll the dice, spin the wheel. that stops an iPhone. Yeah, you received an iPhone for 2 rupees. Enter your details, and there is your iPhone. You enter the details, you share that stuff to multiple people. So what are you receiving over here? Are you actually receiving the iPhone?
Sir.
Right? Yeah. So you are receiving a big big hole in your side, right? So this is something about social engineering. Does that clear your doubt?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Right. So any other doubts up here, guys, which you want me to explain? And yeah, please be free with me. You can ask any doubt if you any doubt without any hesitation or stuff. If I know it, I will explain it to you. If I don't know what you're asking for, I'll refer it, I'll learn it, and I'll explain it to you in the next session. Nothing as such. Okay. Please don't be hesitant about any doubt. You can ask me anything. Does that go?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right, that's great. So moving on further, I'd be requiring you guys to have some of these not some of these, all of these for the upcoming sessions. So the first thing is VirtualBox. So you guys, so if at all you guys are using a Windows PC or Windows laptop, I need you guys to put up with VirtualBox, install it, and download the Kali Linux image from kali.org, the official site, and download the ISO image and actually set up the environment. So don't worry about this part. We'll be seeing the setup, environment setup actually in the next session that we have. That is supposed to be just tomorrow. So I'll be showing you how to set up the Kali environment on your VirtualBox, how to install the VirtualBox, download the image, install it, and make it ready for your use. And some tools which I'll be instructing further on, that have to be installed in your device for further sessions. Don't worry about the tools also. I'll be telling you how to install that. And a bit of Python programming. Okay. I'll be telling you about this later on, about Python programming, but I need you guys to go through the basic stuff of Python programming, about what is Python programming, getting started. You can actually go to W3 schools, and you can take this as a basic assignment of today from my side. Learn a bit of Python. Okay, I'll tell you what to do next. Basic programs in Python.
Excuse me, sir. Can I
something.
use Parrot?
Sorry,
Can I use Parrot?
Sure, you can use, but then what? Parrot is actually a very good too with something of a better GUI than what you have in Kali Linux. But then Kali is what I want you guys to use as a standard. You can definitely experiment with Parrot, and other than Kali and Parrot, you have many other penetration testing or operating systems available out there. So you have Arch Linux for this. You have there are many different OSs available for this thing. But then I'd suggest you use Kali Linux because it has a many many tools available open for that. And to maintain a standard uniform code so that whatever I'm explaining is generic and reaching out to everybody, I suggest you guys use Kali Linux. Okay, you can use Parrot, that is up to you, but then some things, if that differs, again Kali would be suggested, right?
Sir, can you tell me the website to download Kali, please?
Yes, so that is you can actually directly go to Google and you can type out Kali, Kali ISO image download, or if you exactly want
Kali.org.
Yeah.
Kali.org.
Yeah, exactly. So if you exactly want the site, that is kali.org, kali.org, and in that you can go to the menu and you have downloads. So click on the downloads and you'll be redirected to the downloads section where you have multiple ISO images, the latest multiple ISO images, for your PCs and for virtual boxes and something like that. So download the VirtualBox 64-bit edition. I hope everybody over there runs a 64-bit. So download the 64-bit, and I'll be actually teaching you this process of setting up the environment tomorrow in much detail. So I'll explain everything over there. So that goes good. So guys,
Yeah, sure.
Right. So do remember about the Python. Yeah, I'll update you about the assignment too. So where exactly till you have to learn and what modules I want you to learn Python too. So that being said, most importantly, I need you guys to have have a mindset of a hacker. Okay, you have to think a bit out of box when you're doing stuff in your cybersecurity class. Okay, so and I'll be the one helping you out about how to develop that hacker mindset, about how to not think about anything in a general way, and you know how to think about it in a different view. So I'll be helping you out through it. So that being today's session, thank you so much for being there here, and I hope the first session of the cybersecurity was helpful to you and was interesting and something like that. So yeah, thank you so much for being there. I'll update you on the assignments part. Let's meet you on the next session. Okay. So in the whole presentation, do you guys have any doubt or something?
No, sir. All clear.
No, all clear.
Awesome.
Right. Okay then. Let's meet you in the next session. Bye bye, guys.